Hello, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Westside Congregation. I am Donna Johnston, Service Associate for today. Our primary speaker is the Reverend Dr. Nancy Hitt, our consulting minister. Our program today is titled The Sum of the Parts. It is based on UU Principle number 3, acceptance of one another and encouragement in spiritual growth in our congregations, and source number 1, direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness in the forces which create and uphold life. We hope you will engage directly with your own spirituality and learn about the spirituality of others in meaningful ways throughout this service. Our thanks today to Carol Eaglehart, our videographer and musician. If you have never attended Westside before, we welcome you. We are glad you found us online. We hope you will visit us on site when that is a safe possibility in the future. If you have questions about who we are and how you can become more involved, please email the church office through our website. Here are the announcements for today. Our new bookkeeper, Jacqueline, is officially on board. Her contract is signed and she will be starting to work as soon as the remote access software is in place to enable her to work from home. We're really looking forward to having her help to keep track of our finances. Next, Mike and Matt have continued to work on repairing our stained glass window. They have replaced the outer protective glass shield and restored the window frame. Our thanks to them for preserving this important symbol for us. I would also like to invite you to sign up for participating in our new Friends and Family Moment in our video services. This service will include the first of many video visits with members and friends of our congregation. We hope you enjoy it. You can sign up by contacting either Carol Eaglehart or Reverend Nancy. Their email addresses are on your screen now. Also, Rio the dog continues to need your clean, dry newspaper. Please leave it in the plastic bin on the patio outside the social hall door. Make sure to replace the large bricks to secure the lid when you do. Thank you. We are going to have a service in August featuring our 2 labyrinths, and I would like to request some help in weeding the labyrinths. They have become overgrown with weeds and the weather has been blasting hot, and I have problems being out in the heat for too long, so I can only do so much. But I would love to invite anyone who would like to come out either in the early morning or the evening and pull a few weeds. You can leave them all in a pile and my husband Gary will come and pick them up. So thank you. Now, this is very important. Today we will hold our first ever online Zoom town hall meeting. Please remember to use the link you received on Friday in your email from the church to access the meeting at 12:30 p.m. The agenda is also included in your email. We hope to see you there. It is time now for the lighting of our chalice. If you have a personal chalice or candle you would like to light, please draw it closer to you now and join me in the words as they appear on your screen. Together, we light our chalice flame, striking a spark to ignite the fire that will draw us closer, closer to each other, closer to ourselves, closer to the energy of the infinite embodied in the flame itself. By its light and in its warmth, may we perceive truth and love. Shalom and blessed be. Please join me now in affirming our aspirations as the words appear on your screen. Life is a gift. We gather in community to celebrate the glories and mysteries of this great gift. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Shalom. Now, Reverend Nancy will lead us in a moment for centering.
I invite you now to sit back and relax wherever you are. Uncross your ankles, knees, wrists. Just let the energy flow unimpeded through your body. Close your eyes gently if you are comfortable doing so. Focus your attention on your breathing. Breathe fully and deeply, in and out, filling your lungs with fresh air. Releasing your breath through your nose, over and over again. Feel the air rush in as you inhale. Feel it carry away tension as you exhale. As you follow the motion of the air you are breathing, become aware of the energy that ebbs and flows in your body also. Sit in the pattern of your own breathing. Relax into a place of wholeness. Rest there. Slowly refocus on your breath. Bring your awareness back to the here and now. Still breathing fully and deeply. And when you are ready, open your eyes. Shalom. It is our custom to share our personal joys and concerns each week, lighting a candle for that which matters so much to us. I invite you to draw your personal joys and concerns candle closer to you now. Keep yourself in that receptive space that our moment for centering created in you as you listen to our community now. We share a joy together this week as Matt and Mike continue to restore and repair the stained glass window in our sanctuary. Our thanks to them for all of their skilled labor. We are also joyous that our new Moment with Friends and Family has generated momentum even before our first video is shown as part of this service. Several people have volunteered to participate, giving us all something special to look forward to in future services. We hold concern for Donna's grandchildren and all the other children who will be returning to school soon in ways that we can't even quite envision. We hold Jimmy in our thoughts and prayers as his healthcare team continues to work to discover the source of his recent distress. We are glad for his good spirits and continued help to us from home. We hold his future up with hope. For Bobby and Robert, we offer our thoughts and prayers while they are in their long-term care settings. We hope for kind and sensitive staff. We hope for the return of social relationships when it is safe for them to resume them. For these, and for all that we still hold in our own hearts and minds, we light this last white candle. For all of the headlines proclaiming that Black Lives Matter, we hold joy. For all of the people moved to make corrections in historical accounts and representations, we hold joy and encouragement. For cultural institutions and places of business who are inspired to right ancient wrongs and refuse to bow to "that's the way it's always been," we hold joy. For everyone who still struggles with the burden of racism, we hold deep concern. We hold concern for those who are struggling to understand, and we hold concern for those who are struggling to speak their truth. For all the victims of racial violence, we light this red candle in honor of their struggle and of their lives. Shalom. Now, Bram Cast Hecht will share our animal ministry moment with us.
What an amazing world it is when you live in the moment and experience all the things that are going on. The sounds, the colors, the scent of the breeze. Be on the lookout for the unique part of each moment. Now this poem is a little dog, and it's called Unconditional. Here's how you can tell that I love you more than your ungrateful children or pestering wife. When you walk as you do in every night through the door, it's the happiest moment in this doggy's life. Today, we have a new feature in our service, a moment for friends and family. It is a video clip from our good friends, the Farleys, Sandy and Arnold. They live in Corrales and have generously chosen to share the beauty of their garden with us.
I'm here today with Sandy and Arnold Farley to see the amazing garden they have created at their home in Corrales. I asked them how they happened to start this project.
Initially, it was because it was all sand and it was covered with Russian thistle, tumbleweeds. And we were reading how to get rid of it without using a lot of herbicides. So our goal was to cover up every inch of sand so that we wouldn't have any more Russian thistle.
And then it exploded after that. I had a vision.
You did? Tell her.
I figured we'd create 3 main garden rooms of mind, body, and spirit, all moving down. And the spirit would be the sunken garden, if you will. And then it took off.
The section they call the mind begins at the top of the garden. The energy flows down from there like a waterfall to the body. The body is about work and nourishment, so it's here that they have vegetables and fruit trees. And then we flow down to spirit, which begins with images of fairies. The spirit garden moves on to culminate at last in a gathering of energy at a power spot, the butterfly seat. One especially beautiful feature is a labyrinth. There's also the quiet energy of a Zen garden. There are statues reminding the Farleys of happy memories, trips they took to Africa and Indonesia. And there are herbs and medicinal plants as well.
The plants are drought resistant and rabbit resistant. I was proud of that we're using a lot of native plants and a lot of pollinator plants so that we can promote what we can for the bees and the butterflies.
The Farleys also have a sense of humor. They created what they call an alien garden, complete with the debris of a spaceship. Overall, what the Farleys have created here is an amazing achievement.
We wanted to create a space where we could be meditative and solitary and peaceful and socialize and also grow our own fruits and vegetables, and so we've accomplished that.
This year, the Farleys were scheduled to be part of the Corrales Garden Tour, but it was canceled because of the pandemic. We wish them well and hope that we can all join them for the tour next year.
Now, Reverend Nancy will share our moment of all ages with us.
This morning, I have our good friend, Ophelia the owl, with me. Ophelia has brought a lot of information about the meaning of various animals in a spiritual context and shared that with me this morning, and I want to share it with you. She's going to keep me company and make sure that I get it all right. So, you probably already know that in lots of cultures, animals, birds, fish, even bugs have specific spiritual meanings for particular groups of people. Now, as an owl, Ophelia herself represents some pretty cool spiritual qualities for some people, and then a whole different set for others. Owls multitask really well. First, Ophelia would like me to tell you about a few other creatures and their spiritual significance, and then we will learn more about her and her sisters and brothers. The elephant is a symbol of extreme courage and tolerance with the stamina and strength to match. Elephants radiate authority and steadfastness with a power of presence equal to none. The elephant symbolizes spiritual awareness and awareness of the earth and how she affects it. And then there is the bear. The bear is a symbol of strength and force. Bears have been worshipped throughout time as a powerful totem, filling people with the courage needed to stand up and fight adversity. The spiritual meanings that the bear embodies include action and leadership, strength and courage. They indicate healing and provide strong grounding forces. And then there is one of our southwestern creatures, the crow. The crow's spiritual meaning is associated with life mysteries and magic. The power of this bird is to provide insight. The meanings behind the crow spirit animal are fearlessness, flexibility, destiny, and a higher perspective. And then we come to Ophelia herself, the owl. The owl is emblematic of a deep connection with wisdom and intuitive knowledge. These are the meanings behind the owl as a spirit animal: intuition, change, wisdom, and the ability to sense deceit. That's really important. Unless, of course, you are Navajo or one of many Native American groups. For the Navajo people, owls represent something completely different. In Native American culture, owls have many associations varying greatly from one tribe to the next. In most Native American owl legends, some kind of death and rebirth is called for. Cherokee shamans value owls as consultants and honor the bird as sacred because of its nighttime vision and wish to draw that power to themselves to see in the dark. The Lenape Indians believe that if they dream of an owl, it will become their guardian. The Dakota Hidatsa Indians see the owl as a protective spirit for brave warriors. The Mojave Indians of Arizona believe one will become an owl after death, this being an interim stage before becoming a water beetle and ultimately pure air. And, according to Navajo legend, the Creator told the owl after creating it, "In days to come, men will listen to your voice to know what will be their future." In the Navajo belief system, the owl is the envoy of the supernatural world and earthbound spirits. It is often, Ophelia and her kind are often viewed as a harbinger of great difficulty and even death, and owls are often feared because of this. So, as you can see, there are a wide variety of spiritual meanings that people attach to various creatures. Often those meanings depend on the culture that develops them and are very different from place to place. Thank you, Ophelia. As we continue to talk about spirituality today, that's very helpful information to have. I'm going to tuck Ophelia back down into her little home underneath our lectern here, and we will say goodbye to her for now. And next, Donna will speak to our gifts of love and commitment.
The love and commitment of this congregation was in evidence last Sunday when we collected pounds of food for Storehouse West for those in need. It is also evident every time we receive a pledge or a financial gift that sustains the life of this community. For all of your generosity of every kind, we thank you. Thank you for sustaining Westside during the pandemic. Now, Reverend Carol will share the hymn, Spirit of Life, with us. You can sing along with the words on your screen if you'd like.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
I would like to share with you now a reading from a poem by Ralph Waldo Emerson, who is one of our Unitarian Universalist forebears. He was part of the Transcendentalist movement. It's titled The Oversoul, and it goes like this. Let us learn the revelation of all nature and thought, that the highest dwells within us, that the sources of nature are in our own minds. As there is no screen or ceiling between our heads and the infinite heavens, so there is no bar or wall in the soul where we, the effect, cease, and God the cause begins. I am constrained every moment to acknowledge a higher origin for events than the will I call mine. There is deep power in which we exist and whose beatitude is accessible to us. Every moment when the individual feels invaded by it is memorable. It comes to the lowly and simple. It comes to whosoever will put off what is foreign and proud. It comes as insight. It comes as serenity and grandeur. The soul's health consists in the fullness of its reception. Forever and ever, the influx of this better and more universal self is new and unsearchable. Within us is the soul of the whole, the wise silence, the universal beauty, to which every part and particle is equally related, the eternal one. When it breaks through our intelligence, it is genius. When it breathes through our will, it is virtue. When it flows through our affections, it is love. Shalom. Several years ago, about a dozen of us traveled north from here to Los Alamos for a UU workshop on leadership. The existing board, as well as people willing to serve on the board in the future, all went together. It was a great day. We enjoyed ourselves, we learned some things, and we got to observe other UU congregations in action. Until the afternoon program began. We were asked to identify how our congregation observed and celebrated spirituality. The people at the tables around us were off and running, talking about...
Start that paragraph again.
Okay, what was that? Oh, your phone?
I had it off, but it didn't go totally off. Let me put it totally off.
Okay, so just restart the paragraph? Okay. We were asked to identify how our congregation observed and celebrated spirituality. The people at the tables around us were off and running, talking about the variety of things their congregations did to celebrate and develop spirituality. We sat kind of quietly, confused. Finally, one of us asked, "How can we celebrate spirituality? We don't even agree about what we all believe. What is it that they want us to do?" The rest of us nodded our heads in agreement. This was a puzzle. But as luck would have it, our UUA head honcho for our Pacific Western region was wandering around from table to table and listening in on the various conversations. As she started to get closer to our table, I invited her over and explained we were having a great deal of difficulty understanding both the question, which seemed to imply that UUs should be practicing and celebrating spirituality as a congregation, and our dilemma about responding. While we had personal ideas and practices regarding spirituality, we had no idea how we were supposed to integrate that into a Sunday service. What exactly did they expect us to focus on? To her credit, Reverend Sarah paused and then said, "Think of it as having to do with how things are connected in a meaningful and purposeful way for you. We don't expect a specific agreed upon definition of spirituality and a defined path of practice, but ask yourselves what all of you as individuals have in common that pushes you to join together in all of the things that you do in your congregation? Now, those were questions that we could relate to. They opened a lot of doors to new discussions and ultimately launched some new practices here in our Sunday services. For quite a while, we had a moment for spirituality in which we shared our own practices with others or learned about the variety of ways that people seek meaning and purpose in their lives in a way that transcends individuality and even specific communities. It was a very helpful workshop. The question, what does your congregation do to celebrate and support its spirituality, is a good one. At the beginning of our service today, Donna read our third principle, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. She read that to us. Clearly, spirituality is central to Unitarian Universalists. What stymied the group at the workshop was how to engage with that process as a community and not just as individuals. Both matter. Both are critically important. Now, spirituality is one of those words that people use a lot. We all think we know what it means until someone uses it in an unexpected way, like they did at the workshop. That's okay. There are no less than 27 academic definitions, and they do not agree with each other. Spirituality can be individual, it can be corporate, it can be private, it can be shared. And just so that we have a common understanding of what we mean by it here and now, let me offer a few descriptions. And I do mean descriptions because if you look it up in the dictionary, the definition is kind of flat and doesn't really help much with how we hear it used in ordinary conversation. So here are a couple of important descriptions of spirituality. Spirituality has to do with things that are not material or physical. If something is spiritual, it is more energy-like or abstract. Think about human ideals and qualities of life that have to do with attitude or awareness or perspective. Or, spirituality is not totally separate from what is physical. In fact, doing concrete physical things often leads to spiritual experiences. For example, jogging or walking or fasting can all lead to spiritual awareness and experiences. Or how about this? Spirituality has to do with the interconnectedness of all life. It examines how the various physical, mental, and social realities contribute to the wholeness of life. Now, those are all a little bit different, and yet there's some overlap. So if we take them together, we sort of have a package understanding of what it is we're trying to talk about. As an individual, we all have some sense of spiritual realities. Sometimes that sense is highly specific and relies heavily on a particular religious tradition. Sometimes our sense of spirituality is intensely personal and is based on our own lived experience and the meaning that we make of it. Often, it's a combination of both of these. And when individuals gather in community, spirituality also becomes a series of patterns of practice and meaning and value that arise within that particular community. Actually, anything can be part of human spirituality. Ophelia shared a few of the spiritual meanings that various groups of people have assigned to particular animals with us, noting that as an owl, she herself represents different values and meanings to different groups of people. This is true of many kinds of spiritual symbols. Consider the swastika, beloved in India by Hindus, Buddhists, and Jains as a symbol of blessing and prosperity, but reviled in the West for its use by Hitler as a symbol of Nazism. While we can quibble over the different details of how the arms are facing in the Indian versus the Nazi swastika, the difference is subtle enough to be missed at first glance by many, resulting in confusion and offense even when none is intended. Clearly, spirituality is not necessarily straightforward. It evolves and it can be corrupted. Which brings us to the recognition that almost always, when people talk about spirituality, they are talking about a creative, constructive, healthy aspect of life. Destructive or negative or evil kinds of spirituality do exist, but are usually labeled clearly. Even in Harry Potter, we have magic and then we have the dark arts. In ordinary conversation, the default setting for spirituality is good. Good for the individual, and good for the community, and good for life overall. Which brings us to the expansive aspect of spirituality. Since spirituality is always about meaning and purpose and connections that create and support and sustain life, being spiritual ourselves has those same goals. Regardless of whether we're celebrating that the goddess is alive and magic is afoot, or marching in a protest to support Black Lives Matter, or singing the Hallelujah chorus, or doing yoga, or fasting during Ramadan, or any of a zillion other kinds of spiritual pursuit, we are always seeking to expand our sense of ourselves, each other, and the world we live in. All of which suggests that spirituality isn't limited to a specific set of actions or deeds. As Reverend Sarah said at that workshop, it has to do with the connectedness of all life, which automatically includes pretty much everything. Now, we human beings are often described as existing in three aspects: body, mind, and spirit. All three are capable of connecting us to a larger sense of life than just our individual selves. For example, think about our bodies. Our bodies are physical realities that support us in a wide variety of ways throughout our life. They aren't necessarily overtly spiritual in every aspect of their functioning, but they offer us quite a few such opportunities. When they're healthy and working well, we are able to run long distances, prompting them to release endorphins that induce a euphoria for many people, transporting them from the merely physical to an elevated sense of oneness with creation. Fasting also induces a similar physical response in healthy bodies. Our bodies can be vehicles for spiritual experiences in which we have a sense of being connected to the wholeness of life. They also keep us grounded. They remind us to eat and not to overdo our fast. They remind us to sleep, lest we become disoriented and unable to discriminate between reality and fantasy. Our bodies help us to connect with life in more ways than I could possibly name here. That physical connection is imperative for life. It is also imperative for human spirituality. Think about your mind. Our minds are amazing. They take our physical experiences, all of the data that comes to us through our physical senses, and they catalog and decipher it and make meaning of it. Our minds generate their own experiential component in our lives. What we think and how we are able to understand the events in our lives makes a huge difference in regard to how we are able to make meaningful connections and find purpose in our lives. And no two of us are the same. Even twins who share the same experience can understand it very differently. Our minds are uniquely our own. They can be influenced by a variety of things: our bodily experiences, our social experiences, the deep relationships that we develop with each other, the patterns we identify in all of these. Without them, our participation in spirituality would simply be one more kind of experience wafting through us without rhyme or reason. We need to use our minds to engage meaningfully in spirituality. And then there is the human spirit. Every one of us has the capacity to participate in spirituality. We won't all do it the same way at the same time, or even get the same result from the same practice. It's a lot like art. It has been said that great works of art transcend the mental and the physical and enter the realm of the spiritual. I think that's a really apt metaphor for trying to understand the human spirit. Think about a painting. It is literally, physically, paint stuck on canvas in a design of the artist's choosing. Often, we look at good art and say, "Oh, I see what they were going for here. Look, here's what these symbols and these colors mean." Good art can be appreciated at a physical and mental level. But great art renders us speechless. It stirs up our feelings. It makes us think of things apparently unrelated to the art itself. It pulls us outside of ourselves and shows us other ways to be connected, to be alive. It doesn't matter whether it's painting or sculpture or music or dance or theater or photography or any other art form you can think of. And every human being has that capacity, that spiritual aspect that transcends individuality and even surpasses our chosen communities, the capacity to connect with the ineffable realities of life. So, when UUs get together to support and nurture spirituality, it could be almost anything that draws us away from our practical focus on the parts of our lives, physical and mental, and into that larger reality that we experience as wholeness or oneness. It can be religious in nature. It can be secular or scientific in nature. It won't be the same for all of us, which is why UUs don't prescribe a particular practice. Listen again to our first source for being UU. Direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. Our human spirit, distinct yet fully integrated with our bodies and minds, is what responds to that transcending mystery. It is what renews us and opens us to that which creates and upholds life. In uppercase letters, hear the word life writ large. All capitals. Yes, our own life, but this huge, big, unable to be contained kind of life. We are able to perceive and participate in small bits of that. And it's small bits that we can participate in because we are small creatures. We cannot ever wrap our minds around the wholeness of all life, but we can catch a glimpse we can taste the appetizer. In the end, the response to the question about how we nurture and support our spirituality in our services is more than a single answer. Spirituality is anything that draws us outside of ourselves and toward the wholeness of life. Sometimes that's an attitude or a position we hold, and that automatically includes all the other people on the planet. We exist and practice as a single human being, but our spirituality connects us with each other and all that exists. So for some of us, marching in a protest is the height of spirituality. For some of us, singing along with Leonard Cohen is a spiritual act. Walking the labyrinth and knowing we engage in a centuries-old practice connects us to eons of people, past and present. For some of us, one of the myriad religious traditions shapes our experiences and connects us to all life. For others, the revelations of science expand our awareness and give us a glimpse of the complex patterns of oneness. Spirituality for UUs is something we do alone, together. Think about it, and if you need a helpful hint, go look at last week's video. Again, the original understanding of spirituality was based on a person trying to mold, to shape their character as closely as possible to a divine image of humanity. It was the work of a lifetime. That's still well worth pursuing. But by about the 11th century, the meaning changed to become the mental aspect of life in contrast to the physical or sensual. The latest, most modern definitions of note say that there is no single correct definition of spirituality. But when modern people use the word, we are most often referring to the deepest values and meanings by which people live. Ralph Waldo Emerson said it this way, and you heard this earlier, but listen to it closely at this point. Within us is the soul of the whole, the wise silence, the universal beauty, to which every part and particle is equally related, the eternal one. When it breaks through our intellect, it is genius. When it breathes through our will, it is virtue. When it flows through our affections, it is love. Spirituality is what shows us that when it comes to life, the whole is far more than the sum of the parts. Shalom. We have done a lot of things in this service, some familiar and some brand new. We'd really like to hear your thoughts and reactions and get whatever feedback you can possibly offer. Please leave your comments either on our YouTube page or on our website services page. You may also email me directly at ministeruuwc@gmail.com. Thank you. Now it is time to extinguish our chalices. Please join me in the words of our chalice extinguishing as they appear on your screen, and then let us extinguish our chalices together. Though gone from our sight, the energy from our chalice flame burns on in our hearts. May it fuel our lives in our quest for truth and commitment to love. Shalom and blessed be. May the wholeness of your life blossom forth from all of its parts in a spectacular meaning and glory. May you cultivate both roots and wings as you live your life. May you flourish in body, mind, and spirit all of your days. Go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere you go, whoever you are with, and however you have need. Shalom and amen.